You were the chosen one! It was said that you would destroy the Sith, not join them! Bring balance to the Force, not leave it in darkness!
That's Obi-Wan to Anakin as he becomes Darth Vader. And honestly, that's exactly how I feel about what happened to Agile. See, I'm an Agile coach. I still believe in every word of the Agile Manifesto. But what I see in many organizations today, it breaks my heart. We took something beautiful, principles for unleashing human potential, and turned it into exactly what we were trying to escape. Rigid ceremonies, certification mills, story point torture sessions. Last week I gave you a playbook for experiments. Start small, work with informal leaders, make progress visible, let success spread. And I know some of you thought, this sounds a lot like Agile. Well, yes and no. Today I'm going to show you how Agile lost its soul, why your experiments from last week are different, and most importantly, how to keep your changes from suffering the same fate. A colleague described modern Agile implementations perfectly. Cargo cult behavior. Quick history lesson. During World War II, Pacific Islanders saw planes bringing supplies. After the war, they built fake runways, wooden control towers, even coconut headphones, hoping the planes would return and bring more of this precious cargo. They copied all the forms perfectly, but somehow the planes never came back. Shocking, right? This phenomenon was later called cargo cult. Now picture your last Agile transformation. Daily stand-ups? Check, where everyone gives status reports. Sprint planning? Check, and the plan falls apart the next day. Retrospectives? Check, where nothing really changes. Actual agility? We built the runway, but we are still waiting for the planes. Let's revisit 2001. 17 developers, frustrated with heavyweight processes, write 4 values. Individuals and interactions over processes and tools. Working software over comprehensive documentation. Customer collaboration over contract negotiation. Responding to change over following a plan. Every single word still true. Now look, I know some teams have made frameworks like Scrum work beautifully. When done with the right spirit, it can be immensely powerful. But too often, what we built on top of the manifesto became the problem. See the connection to our experiments last week? Small changes, human-centered, adaptive. That's actually what Agile was meant to be. But then we did something very human. We took principles and turned them into rules. We took responding to change and made it a rigid 2-week sprint cycle. We took individuals and interactions and made it a 15-minute standing meeting. We codified everything and removed the very flexibility we were trying to create. Remember our approach from last week? Let me show you why it avoids the Agile trap. Here's what a typical Agile transformation looks like. We are implementing Scrum starting Monday. Here's your training. Resistance is futile. And here's our approach with Liberty experiments. Hey, what if we try this one thing for 2 weeks? You design the metrics, we'll adjust based on what we learn. See the difference? One imposes structure, the other grows it organically with your informal leaders. One creates cargo cults, the other creates genuine change. Want to know what really killed Agile? We industrialized it. Weakened Scrum Master certifications, the SAFe framework with a manual over 150 pages long, Agile coaches for hire who have never shipped anything. We looked at individuals and interactions over processes and tools and thought, you know what this needs? More certificates, more processes, more tools. Of course, I can understand that companies wanted guarantees. Hire certified people, get predictable results. But you can't certify someone into caring about outcomes. You cannot framework your way into psychological safety. It's like learning to dance from a manual. Sure, you know the steps, but can you feel the music? Remember Boeing from episode 1? They had all the processes. They failed. Remember Alcoa? They focused on principles. They succeeded. The pattern is right there. Rigid implementation leads to failure. Principled experimentation leads to success. Your experiments from last week, you're already doing it right. You started with a problem, not a framework. You involve the people who actually do the work. You're measuring what matters to them. That's real agility, not the branded, certified consultant-delivered kind, the human kind. I've seen too many agile transformations struggle. But here's what's interesting. They usually fail in the same ways. They ignore the power structure. Remember our informal leaders from episode 2? Most agile implementations pretend they don't exist. Big mistake. They mandate instead of inspire. Thou shalt have retrospectives versus what would help us improve. They optimize for compliance. Teams going through the motions versus teams solving problems. The saddest part, teams often start excited. They believe in the principles. Then they get buried under process and lose faith. Let's connect the dots from our journey so far. Episode number 1, trust beats control. Episode number 2, informal leaders drive real change. Episode number 3, small experiments and work with those leaders. Episode number 4, principles beat frameworks. You see it? You're not implementing Agile or any other framework. You're applying timeless principles through experiments designed by the people who will make them work. That's why your approach will succeed where Agile transformations failed. Now here's the danger. Success can become its own trap. Your beautiful experiment works, other teams want to copy it, leadership wants to scale it. This is the moment where Agile died. When let's try pair programming became everyone must pair program. When this helped our team became mandatory for all teams. How do you avoid this? Keep experimenting. What worked last month might not work next month. Stay adaptive. Keep it voluntary. Force best practices become worst practices. Keep ownership local. Let each team adapt ideas to their context. Keep principles over practices. Ask, why did this work, not just what did we do? Look at Valve. They have no formal hierarchy, people choose their own projects, still billions in revenue. How? Principles create value over processes, approval chains. Does W.L. Gore and Associates ring a bell? Organized as a lattice organization, anyone can talk to anyone. Teams form organically around opportunities. Result? Constant innovation, from Gore-Tex to guitar strings. Or Spotify's Tribes. Started as an experiment in one area, what became known as the Spotify model was just a snapshot in time. It evolved based on what worked, never became rigid law. Notice what they share? They treat organization design as an ongoing experiment, not a final destination. So, where does this leave you? Keep running experiments, but now you know why. Not to implement methodology, not to follow a framework, but to discover what helps your people do their best work. When someone asks what methodology you use, your answer should be, we experiment with what works for us. When they push for specifics, share principles, not practices. For example, we believe in transparency, so we make our work visible. Or we value feedback, so we check in regularly. Or we respect expertise, so teams own their processes. Now, you might be wondering, this all sounds great, but what can I actually do to make that change happen? What if you're the CEO trying to transform an entire organization? What if you're a middle manager caught between resistant executives and skeptical teams? What if you're an individual contributor with no formal authority at all? The principles remain the same, but the tactics change dramatically. Over the coming weeks, we will explore all three scenarios because real change happens at every level, and each has its own opportunities and challenges. You know what's beautiful about Agile struggles? It taught us exactly what not to do. Don't turn principles into rigid rules. Don't ignore existing power structures. Don't mandate from above. Don't optimize for process over outcomes. But use those lessons. Keep principles flexible. Work with informal leaders. Let adoption be voluntary. Focus on real results. That's not a framework, that's wisdom. The Agile Manifesto is still right. Every word. We just need the courage to actually live it instead of processing it to death. Your experiments from last week, that's real agility. Working with informal leaders, that's individuals and interactions. Making progress visible, that's working software. Adjusting based on learning, that's responding to change. You're already doing it. You just don't need a certificate to prove it. Next week, we start our 3-part series on leading change from different positions. Whether you're the CEO, a middle manager, or someone with no formal power at all, there's a way to create meaningful change. Keep experimenting, keep learning, keep building. This is the Liberty Framework. Let's create workplaces that actually work. See you next time.